Most people encounter philanthropy at the very end of the wealth conversation. First earn. First succeed. First accumulate. Then someday, give back. Books written by those who studied wealth deeply, both those who built it and those who distributed it, quietly overturn this sequence. They argue that giving is not the after effect of wealth, but one of its most misunderstood engines. These books begin by challenging a common assumption that generosity is a luxury reserved for the financially secure. In reality, philanthropy appears in the stories of wealth creators long before abundance is achieved. Not as grand donations, but as orientation. A way of relating to value people and purpose that shapes decisions upstream, not downstream. One of the earliest insights repeated across these works is that giving changes how wealth is pursued. Scarcity-driven accumulation is defensive. It hoards, protects, and fears loss. Giving-oriented thinking reframes wealth as flow rather than possession. Money becomes something that moves through systems, solving problems, building trust, and creating alignment. This shift alters behavior long before balance sheets reflect it. Books on philanthropy emphasize that generosity clarifies intent. When people give thoughtfully, they are forced to articulate what they value: education, health, opportunity, dignity. These values then guide investment career and business decisions. Wealth becomes coherent rather than fragmented. Purpose reduces waste. Another recurring theme is trust. Philanthropy builds reputational capital in ways that transactional success rarely does. People remember who helped when nothing was required in return. Books show that many long-term business relationships and investment opportunities were born not from deals, but from shared commitment to causes. Giving becomes a quiet signal of long-term thinking. These books also draw a sharp distinction between performative giving and strategic philanthropy. Performative giving seeks recognition. Strategic giving seeks impact. The former often distorts incentives. The latter strengthens systems. Wealth creators who practiced strategic philanthropy applied the same discipline they used in investing: clarity of goals, measurement of outcomes, patience with results. Another powerful insight is that philanthropy trains humility. Giving exposes complexity. Problems are rarely solved by money alone. Books describe how donors quickly learn that intention does not guarantee outcome. This realization tempers overconfidence and deepens respect for expertise. Humility, in turn, improves decision-making across all domains of wealth. Philanthropy literature also emphasizes feedback loops. Giving creates learning. Learning improves judgment. Judgment improves wealth, stewardship. Over time, this loop compounds. Many financial celebrities noted that their philanthropic work sharpened their understanding of systems, incentives, and unintended consequences, skills directly transferable to business and investing. Another recurring lesson concerns scale. Early giving is often local and personal. As wealth grows, giving becomes institutional and strategic. Books show that those who transitioned successfully maintained proximity to outcomes. They did not outsource empathy entirely. They stayed connected enough to remain grounded even as structures grew larger. These books also challenge the belief that giving reduces wealth. While reckless generosity can be destructive, disciplined philanthropy often enhances sustainability. It aligns incentives, strengthens networks, and reinforces purpose during inevitable downturns. People anchored in purpose recover faster from financial setbacks because their identity is not solely tied to net worth. Another insight emerges around legacy. Philanthropy shapes how wealth is remembered and how families relate to money across generations. Books show that families who integrated giving early avoided many inheritance conflicts. Giving became a shared mission rather than a moral obligation imposed later. Children learned stewardship before control. Philanthropy literature also addresses timing. Waiting to give until later often means never giving meaningfully. Life intervenes. Priorities shift. Books argue that giving early, even in small amounts, builds habits and perspective that scale naturally. Generosity like compounding benefits from time. Another recurring theme is that philanthropy reduces fear of loss. When people experience money leaving their control voluntarily and producing good outcomes, attachment softens. This psychological flexibility reduces hoarding behavior and improves risk-taking quality elsewhere. Wealth creators become less defensive and more adaptive. Books also emphasize boundaries. Giving without structure leads to burnout or exploitation. Effective philanthropy requires saying no, setting limits, and aligning resources with realistic impact. Discipline protects generosity from becoming destructive. This balance mirrors successful wealth management itself. As readers move deeper into these works, philanthropy stops feeling like charity and starts feeling like architecture. It shapes ecosystems. It influences incentives. It builds capacity rather than dependency. Wealth is no longer an end state. It is a tool for shaping outcomes beyond the individual. Another subtle insight emerges around meaning. Wealth pursued without giving often leads to emptiness. Books are candid here. Accumulation alone rarely satisfies. Giving introduces a narrative larger than self. This narrative sustains motivation long after novelty fades. Purpose becomes renewable energy. Importantly, serious philanthropy books reject moral superiority. Giving does not make one virtuous by default. Impact matters more than intention. Learning matters more than image. This realism keeps philanthropy grounded and effective. As these books approach their deeper conclusions, a pattern becomes clear. Giving and wealth are not opposing forces. They are reinforcing ones when aligned properly. Philanthropy refines judgment, stabilizes identity, and embeds wealth within something larger than consumption. And this is where the story begins to narrow. Because once giving is understood, not as a sacrifice of wealth, but as a discipline that shapes how wealth is created, managed, and sustained, priorities shift. Accumulation slows slightly, purpose sharpens significantly, and wealth begins to feel less like something to protect and more like something to use wisely to strengthen systems, empower others, and leave behind impact that outlasts money itself. Like understanding that generosity, when practiced deliberately, reshapes not only where money goes, but who the giver becomes over time. In the second half of these books, philanthropy is no longer treated as an action, it is treated as a feedback mechanism. Authors begin to show how giving changes internal architecture. People who give consistently start making different financial decisions, even outside philanthropy. They become more patient, less reactive, more focused on durability than display. Wealth in this framework stops being something to accumulate defensively and starts becoming something to steward intelligently. One of the most striking insights repeated across serious philanthropy literature is that giving clarifies priorities faster than success ever could. Accumulation can hide confusion. Growth can mask emptiness. Giving exposes both. When money leaves your control, questions surface immediately. Did this matter? Did it help? Was it aligned? These questions sharpen judgment. Over time, this clarity feeds back into business investing and life decisions. These books also show that philanthropy strengthens long-term thinking. Short-term wins matter less when you are committed to outcomes that unfold across decades. Education systems, health infrastructure, opportunity access. Wealth creators who engaged deeply with these timelines reported a shift in how they evaluated investments and risks. They stopped optimizing for quarters and started optimizing for cycles. This perspective improved resilience during downturns and restraint during booms. Another recurring lesson is that giving reduces ego-driven behavior. When outcomes are not about personal credit, decision-making improves. Philanthropy humbles even the most successful individuals by confronting them with complexity and unintended consequences. This humility becomes a stabilizer. It protects against overconfidence, which books repeatedly identify as one of the greatest destroyers of wealth. The literature also emphasizes that generosity builds trust, velocity. Trust normally compounds slowly. Strategic giving accelerates it, not through publicity, but through alignment. People who give thoughtfully attract collaborators who share values. Networks deepen. Conversations change. Opportunities emerge organically because the relationship is no longer purely transactional. Importantly, these books dismantle the myth that philanthropy must be large to be meaningful. Scale matters, but intention and structure matter more. Small, consistent giving creates habits that scale naturally. Those who waited for enough often never built the muscle. Those who started early built identity around stewardship rather than accumulation. Another insight appears around boundaries. Sustainable giving requires saying no. Books are clear. Generosity without limits leads to resentment, burnout, or distortion. Effective philanthropists protect their capacity so they can continue giving over time. This mirrors prudent wealth management. Both require discipline, not impulse. As these books approach their conclusions, a unifying pattern emerges. The individuals who sustained wealth the longest were those who embedded it within something larger than themselves. Purpose absorbed volatility. Meaning buffered loss. Giving anchored identity during moments when markets, businesses, or careers faltered. And so the lesson resolves quietly. Philanthropy does not guarantee wealth, and wealth does not guarantee impact. But when aligned, they reinforce each other. Giving refines judgment. Judgment preserves wealth. Wealth amplifies impact. This loop, repeated over years, creates a form of abundance that outlasts numbers. If this reflection resonated with you, pause and ask yourself one honest question. Does your current relationship with money point inward toward accumulation or outward toward contribution? That direction shapes not only your impact, but your resilience. Share what this made you reconsider. And if you want to continue exploring book-based insights that connect wealth with meaning, discipline, and long-term influence, subscribe and stay connected. Because money is not just a resource, it is a responsibility, and how you use it shapes who you become.